So we're here in Zurich at the NOAA conference. I've got another amazing guest in front of me here. Could you say your name and who you're representing?
Yes, my name is Tillmann. I'm one of the founders of Injova, which stands for Invest in Your Values, because we're a digital impact investing company focused on everyday people.
Okay, so what are you actually showcasing here at NOAA? I mean, what is behind the solution? What could the solution deliver to, say, the climate change challenge or other environmental challenges or economic challenges? Tell us.
Yeah, so what we're working on is we want to make the finance industry part of the solution for problems like the climate crisis. So the whole idea, it's an investment platform where you can invest money for, say, your retirement, but through an impact investment, so an investment that actually has a measurable impact on, problems like the climate crisis, for example. And it's based on the idea that actually, if you think about organizations having the largest impact on our lives, on the way we live, on the way we go about our economic and private activities, all of us are actually already co-owners of the large organizations through the money in our pension funds, through the money in our life insurances and so forth. But we don't have the chance to influence these companies, which is at odds with the way that capitalism is structured. When capitalism was brought about, the idea was that the owners of companies can actually take control of them, and that's what still happened 50 years ago. But nowadays we're investing passively. We have a whole financial system between the owners and the companies. So the owners have left the room. So when it's about what do companies do in the world, the owners are no longer there to decide. And we're all owners, and that's why we have problems such as a focus on the next quarter and not the next decade or let alone the next century when we think about long-term effects and risks. And we want to change that by empowering people to invest their money with purpose and with a positive impact that is not just an empty promise, but that they can actually see in their investment.
So so say I had 10,000 euros and I wanted to invest through you, as it were. How would this work? How would I know I was investing in sustainability, for example? How would it be structured?
Yeah.
Could you talk me through it?
It's a very easy process. So you take out your phone, you create an investment strategy. That's very easy. We just ask you, what do you care about? So it could be things like gender equality, biodiversity, renewable energy. Maybe you're a vegetarian, so you want to invest in a vegetarian portfolio. We do a bit of risk profiling, very, very brief. And based on that, we structure an investment portfolio that consists of companies that are in line with your values. That's why it's called Invest in Your Values. And you can see each individual company, right? So you have 100% transparency of where does this money actually go. You understand what the portfolio looks like, and you can personalize it further. If you love Tesla, you put it in. If you hate Tesla, you can take it out. So you have this level of transparency and control. And the technology always makes sure that the overall portfolio is risk optimized. You cannot break it. You have never the risk of running too much risk, because after all, this is the money that is there for yourself, for your children, for your future. And that's the way it works. But the beauty in it is that you actually, it's not a fund or a collective vehicle. You become a shareholder, so you can execute your rights. You can vote at the company AGM. You can engage with these companies, and that's what we facilitate. So the vision that we're after is we want to bring 1 million citizens in Europe, to the AGMs of Volkswagen, of Siemens, of Tesla, and so forth.
So this would be the activism side of it, which is really interesting. Yeah. Yes. So what you're saying, it's not a mutual fund. You're not investing in a mutual fund. You're investing in your own fund. The system that you have is picking the companies that meet my profile of my values, and so then I still have the rights to vote and, as it were, at the AGMs.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. And then you can probably then also connect up with others who are voting in those AGMs and say, why don't we all do this?
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so it'll be topic focused, but there'll also be some general guidelines. So I mean, in the end, it's your decision. You're the shareholder, it's your vote. Yeah. But like the guidelines, we will never, for example, advise to approve bonuses and compensation increases for companies that lobby against climate policy. Yeah. So these kind of rule-based votes can actually have a big influence on the way companies are being run.
Will you be explicit on that? Are you being explicit on that on the app that says, and you can become a climate activist by, and therefore you can vote against this and...
Yes,
okay, so
very much so,
it's not like hidden in the shadows, it's actually up front.
No, I mean, it's also, the idea is not to ruin these companies. After all, you're investing in them. It's to have a more of a long-term focus in these companies, a focus on long-term value creation. That's the beauty of impact investment. Impact investment is an investment that is designed to make you money, financial return, but also make the world a better place. And those two goals can actually reinforce each other, because if you want to invest with an impact, you want to invest in the companies that succeed in the long run. So this financial focus can actually help focus on the climate solutions that have a role to play for decades to come in the economy of the future. So those goals are actually reinforcing each other.
Okay. So we're talking about investment, and by the way, it sounds very interesting indeed. And just say the name of the company again.
Innova. Invest in your values.
Invest in your values. Okay. And it exists right now?
It exists right now. We're present in all of Europe. Not the UK, sadly, at this point.
No, it's okay. I'm based in Berlin, so...
Excellent. It's
the UK is just
even
a small...
Switzerland.
The UK is a small island developing state off the west coast of Europe now, so you don't need to worry about it. But we're also interested in investment as well, and one thing we were interested in was the International Monetary Fund in Washington that brought out this amazing report just before the climate conference in Glasgow, which gave some eye-watering numbers on the amount of money that governments are subsidizing fossil fuels around the world. So it's $11 million a minute. It's actually trillions of dollars over the year. So we started a counter, counting up how much governments were spending on subsidizing fossil fuels. Which seemed a bit absurd to us. It's a bit like dinosaurs, subsidizing meteors to hit planet Earth. And it was a bit of a hit at Glasgow. A lot of people at the head of Scania, trucks who are trying to electrify all their buses and trucks, said, this is absolutely insane. I didn't realize it was so much. And so we have the counter. There we go. We've just passed the $600 billion mark. That's since Glasgow, so 3 or 4 weeks ago.
I'm glad you said it. I wouldn't even have been able to say the name of this number.
I know.
It's too big.
600 billion. What is that? Is that Millionard in auf Deutsch?
Milliarde.
Milliarde auf Deutsch, So we think that money could be, well, it's not a level playing field in the world with other sustainability things. As an investor, you could probably imagine all kinds of more interesting ways you could spend that money on sustainability activities, and as a startup.
Of course. But there's, of course, I can imagine a million better ways to invest it. But for me, one of the main takeaways is this money is part of the balance sheet of many of the companies out there, and that's financial risk for the investor. Because if a lot of this money is not there anymore, at some point in time, we will stop subsidizing fossil fuels. I think
that's true,
It will happen at some point. And if you're invested in the company that depends on these kind of subsidies, then your financial portfolio is at risk.
Absolutely.
So that's a great example where sustainability risks are financial risks, and how an investor lens can actually help. Because if you're a long-term investor, you should not and must not invest in any company that needs this money to be there.
Because they're even more stranded than we even thought it before if they lose that. Thank you very much for being on this interview, and I hope everything works out here at NOAA.
Thank you, Nick, also for everything you're doing. I think this counter is a great way of, it's important to visualize these kind of things.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, Good. Thank you very much for being with us, and have a good time.
You too.